Hello and welcome to a new Google Sheets video in Practical Sheets. Today we continue our inventory series and we're going to include some locations or warehouses. So this may seem easy, but I believe there are many ways we can do this. So I'm going to propose one and let's see what you think. So last time we did this FIFO setup, so we're going to hide the sheet. Not right now because maybe we need to modify it a bit today. Also last time, or one or two couple of videos ago, divided our input-output sheet into input and output. So what we're going to do is we're going to include at the end a column that will be warehouse or location. So once I do an input, I can select to which warehouse or to which location this product arrived. So here in my lists, I'm going to do a location list. I could do here New York, San Francisco, Dallas, Miami, I don't know, something. And here we're going to do just a small data validation. We change it to list from a range, and we're going to choose our list. We won't have that many warehouses. Let's leave it open to be able to have some more in the future. We'll click OK, reject the input because we can only select the warehouses I have available. And I have here my locations, and I'm going to go down with Ctrl-Shift down and Ctrl-D to drag down my data validation. Okay, so this is the first thing. Let's just fill it out. Okay, so I have it here. This is the first step, to include it in my input. The thing is that mandatorily I have to also put it in my output, and this may be a bit of an operational hassle because it is very important that once I sell something, I tell the system from which location is it going to extract the product. Okay, so I'm going just to fill this with some dates. So I'm going to insert again a column to the right. It's going to be the same column. So I'm going to copy these first two cells, paste them here. For now, let's say they all come from New York. So we're going to create a new sheet that is called auxiliary location dropdown. And what we're going to do is for each of these references, we're going to have drop-downs where we have this reference, okay? So for this, I'm going to stand here and do a filter function. So I'm going to invite you to the video of doing dependent drop-downs with formulas that I recently published to see how we do this in more detail. But for now, we're going to filter the locations, this column, based on this other column when this column is this first one in A2 that I cannot see because my formula is blocking it. So basically what it's doing is going to my locations and filtering the locations for those locations that have this TS005. So actually just Miami and Dallas. Let's see. So I have here one that is Miami, and my other TS005 is here that is Dallas. So it works nice. But given that I want it for all my rows, I'm going to change this to a row with the transpose function. I'm going to bring it down so I can have it for all my references. So this is for the TS005. This will be for the TS002. Let's check it also. It should only be Dallas, TS002, Dallas, and I don't have another. Okay, so this is really nice. I'm going to drag it down, Ctrl-Shift, Ctrl-D. That's it. So I have it for all the reference I have. And finally, this dropdown, I'm going to go to Data, Data Validation, and I'm going to say that I'm going to bring this drop down from my auxiliary location here. Let's go up to J, maybe. I don't have that much warehouses. But if so, I could extend it to Z or AB or whatever column I want. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to save. The trick here, I have to go back again. I don't know why this is a bug in Sheets. I'm going to go back to my data validation and remove these $signs. Click Save, and now I can drag it down. So first I'm going to delete this, and now again Control Shift down and Control D to copy the data validation. And now let's see what happens here. In TS005 I only have Miami and Dallas. There are the warehouses available for the TS005. Here in the TS002 I only have Dallas, here only San Francisco. So this makes my life easier, or easier for the people that are filling out this, because it only allows them to choose the location where there is actually this product. So there's no room for mistakes to maybe remove product from a warehouse where that product is not stored. Okay, so this is the first thing. So let's fill it out, you know. Now I have it filled out. Now I can hide this auxiliary location dropdown. I'm not going to need it, but you cannot delete it because it serves a very important function. Okay, so I've completed step number 2. So first, I included my location in my input. Now I included my dependent location in the output. Finally, I have to go to the stock, and here is where it can get tricky, or where we can do a lot of things. How do we do to see the different locations? So this is going to change drastically. One option is that I could have a stock sheet for every warehouse. This is my first option. The second option is that I can have more columns here and a stock for each warehouse, and then a total, so I can see in one place the total number of stock. And maybe it's easier to see in one place. For example, of this TS004, I can see easily, okay, I have input in Miami. So maybe I have an order in San Francisco, so I can move it. So this would be a thing that is missing. Maybe I could have an adjustment sheet or an internal transfer sheet where I could move product from one warehouse to the other. This is an option in the future, but you will tell me if this is useful or not. So what we're going to do is to include a new row above. Here I'm going to include my location. So I'm going to put here New York. And I'm going to do the input, the output, the stock. And here the cost is where it may get tricky. So let's see what is going to change. The thing that's going to change actually with our magical SUMIFS function, I just need to include a new condition. So I'm summing, just to summarize, because we did this like in the first or the second lesson. The SUMIFS, it sums the input units and it filters it just for this reference. That's it. So it sums the C column of my input sheet where the A column of my input sheet matches this reference. Okay, so now I'm going to add another column. I'm going to say that I also want to match my G column when it matches New York. So let's press enter, and we're going to do some absolute referencing. I'm going to do an absolute reference for this one, for New York. And also for this A3, I'm going to do an absolute reference, but just for the column. And let's also fix this and fix this. You're going to see why in a minute. Okay. Now I could drag this down, but we're going to do this later. Now we're going to do the same for the output. Again, my SUMIFS. I'm going to add one condition, and it's that in my G column, it also matches New York. Again, let's do my fixing. F4 here, F4 3 times just to fix the column. F4 here 1 time. And for these two, that's it. Let's hit enter. So New York, it should say let's check it. New York, we have 7 inputs of Mastodon t-shirt. So here is one. And let's see another Mastodon. It by coincidence, both were in New York. So I have the 7 here, and my output will be here, the Mastodon t-shirt, 2 here, 3 here, and 2 here. So it's 7. So I don't have any more stock in New York. And I'm going to select it, go down with Shift down, Control D. So now I have my stock just for New York. Now it's going to be relatively easy to just copy the columns for the other locations. For now, let's see how our FIFO system will change. So here, the first thing I want to change here, so I'm going to create a new column. Again, I invite you to go to the last video where I dedicate 20 minutes to doing this FIFO system. I brought this with an input and a sort function, but up to the F column. So I'm going to update this and expand it up to the G column. So I have my location also here, G. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to do the accumulated purchases just for the warehouse. So I'm going to change this. This is not longer going to be a SUMIF, but a SUMIFS. And the thing about changing it from SUMIF to SUMIFS is that I have to rearrange the argument. So the first argument will be the column where I'm going to do the sum. That is the column C. And then I have the conditions, okay? So I'm going to delete this, and it should still work the same. But now I'm going to add another condition, and is my location. So it will be that my location start here, from G2 up to G2. But I'm going to fix the first row, and it should be the same as G2. Let's drag it down, and you see that there are some changes because now it's separating the purchases by warehouse. So the total sales, I should also do them by location. So again, let's do this so you can see the formula better. So again, I'm going to change it to SUMIFS. Move this sum column up to the front, and we're going to add a new condition, is that output in the location, that is column G, should match my location here. Okay, so let's drag it down again, Control Shift down, Control D. Good. Now the remaining stock, it's not a problem. The status batch, I think it's not a problem. So I think this works good. We could do an example again with the one we've always done. So let's go to our stock to see if it updated correctly. So here actually there's some mistakes. Why? Because I should sum only for New York. So again, I need to do the same I've done in the FIFO sheet, and that is change this to a SUMIFS and moving this to the front and adding a new condition, which is in my FIFO sheet. It changed. Okay. Again, here I need to put a space so that it allows me to go to my other sheet. I'm going to my FIFO sheet and go to my location column, that is G, and tell it that in this case it should be New York. So let's fix it with F4. And again, we're going to fix this as we did in the other ones. Fix the column here, fix all the columns here. Let's hit enter, and let's go down, Control Shift down and Control D. So it apparently works. It's just bringing the cost. For this, let's see, for example, 311 hoodie for New York. Let's go to my FIFO. 311 hoodie for New York. So this is the first one, 311 hoodie. It should be 14, and then that's it. No more. 14. Perfect. let's see this one, Nirvana, for left $16. Nirvana for left $16. Well, these are very simple cases because I only have one purchase, okay? But it's working for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these columns. I'm going to right click, say insert 4 columns to the right, paste my columns, and I'm going to change this to the next one. That it could be San Francisco, Dallas, and Miami. So San Francisco. And let's make sure that this doesn't point now to C1, but to G1. That is San Francisco. Same here and same here. But let's see, because I see an error. Here it says that San Francisco has 1 for input for the Wizard hoodie, H001 San Francisco. Let's see, here I have 1 purchase. And in my output, Wizard hoodie, I have 2, 1, and 1. Yeah, so actually it is a mistake. So let's change this for now to 5. My input. This works better now, okay? Because there's another thing. Remember that a couple of videos ago, we did some data validation so that I could not sell something that is not in stock. Well, this needs to change because now it doesn't have to look only for the reference, but also for the location. So for now, we're going to leave it like this. You can remove it if you want for now. And then in the next video, we can see if we can improve it or just remove it. Okay. So we're going to select this row, go Ctrl-Shift down and Ctrl-D to update everything. And I'm going to do the same for my other 2 locations, Dallas and Miami. Now let's drag it down. It looks good. And finally, Miami. Let's change again this K1 to O1. And bring it down. Ctrl-Shift down and Ctrl-D. Apparently it looks okay. We can see where do we have stock. And maybe we can change these colors a bit. Even merge the cells here if you want. Okay. So finally, what I can do is do a total here, or I could do it at the beginning, however you prefer. I could have a total here, or a total at the end. Let's do it at the end. Let's copy this. And I'm just going to sum everything up. So I'm going to sum C3 plus G3 plus K3 plus O3. And if I drag this down to the right, it will automatically here just sum the outputs, here the stock, and here the input. Here I don't want this to, I'm going to copy this format so that it is units. And finally I'm going to drag it down, Ctrl-D, and I think it works. So maybe just some nice separators of the columns here. And now it looks better. So that's it. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think it works for you or not? I know this is not for everyone. And this doesn't have to be New York, San Francisco. Maybe you have it in your same city or in 2 apartments or in 2 different storage units, whatever. Or just in the same warehouse, but in 2 different rooms. So this could also work. That's it. I hope this works. Now, finally, we could hide this FIFO sheet. It apparently works right. We could also hide our to-do list. We'll leave it for the next video, and also our lists. And we'll just have our very nice product, input, output, and stock. I forgot to do a thing. I'm going to just drag this thick bar to the B so that if I move here, I can still see for which product I'm referring, and maybe I could add some columns to the right, even if they're blank, so that I can move and maybe I want just to see the total. And we could also hide this if you want. Maybe we could leave like a buffer column. I could add a column here, very thin column. And what I could do is to group this. And maybe this New York, I'm going to drag it here and just copy the format. So I could easily hide a specific warehouse. Again, let's group this. And let's group this. Let's move the San Francisco here also. And Dallas here. And finally, Miami here. And we'll also group this. Okay, maybe we could make it a bit bigger so that I can see at least the first few letters of the city. So I'm going to copy the formats just for these columns with base special and base format, Ctrl-Alt-V. Same here, Ctrl-Shift down and Ctrl-Alt-V. The same here, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-Shift down, Ctrl-Alt-V. And the same here, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-Shift down and Ctrl-Alt-V. Now, I think it looks good because now I can just, with this plus button, I can see the warehouses I want, especially if I have a lot of locations, a lot of warehouses, I can see them easily. And if I want to see them all, I just select all of these columns, right click, and here I can say unhide columns, and I can see my 4 locations. So that's it. I enjoyed it a lot doing it. I hope you enjoyed it also watching it and applying it to your project. It went a bit longer than I wanted, but it's okay. So if you like it, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notify me button so you can be notified when there's a new video each week. And if you don't want to start from scratch but get the template and work from it, you can download it in the Patreon page that you'll find in the description. So thank you so much and see you next time.